Okay, guys, a lot of you know about coffee butter, and there are two ways you can get coffee butter. The traditional way would be, of course, to buy from a supplier. When you buy from a supplier, it is simply a vegetable oil infused coffee or coffee infused oil. And we can do this at home. We don't need to purchase that. Some people prefer to, and I do on occasion, when I don't want to take the time to make my own, but for whatever reason, I just decided to do it on my own today. So basically what I did up until this point was I took a cup of coffee grounds with 14 ounces of grapeseed oil in a crock pot on low heat for 6 hours. I let it infuse, stirring on occasion so that the grounds didn't stick to the bottom of the pan. And after 6 hours, I turned it off and I let it sit in the crock pot with no heat overnight. And then when I was done this morning, I poured it into my strainer, let it drain out into my pitcher. Once it was in my pitcher, then I pour it into another bowl. And I like to get a bowl that has grooves in the bottom so that the sediment can go in. That way you don't have to strain all of it. But once you get it in your bowl, then I take a paper towel and I line one of my strainers with the paper towel and I pour the oil into it. The reason I use paper towels is because coffee grounds are great in a coffee filter with water, but oil, not so much. Oil has a hard time getting through the coffee filters once it starts cooling down. So unless you're working with a really hot oil, it's not going to go through the coffee filters real well. But paper towel, it does. So basically what I've got is I've got the rest of my oil dripping down into my bucket. And you can see it's going kind of slow simply because the oil is cooling again. But you will notice the color difference. Let me see if I can show you. This is very, 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 very dark. Very dark. And the stuff in the bucket is much, much lighter. Let me see if I can turn this a little bit so you can see. Do you see how light that is? That's what we're going for. We want it to be a very light color, so in the end it will be a nice creamy butter. So that's what we're doing at this point, is just getting it all for the first straining into, well, actually the second straining into this bucket. First straining was straining our coffee grounds out. Second straining is getting the sediment out. The third straining will be to get any fine particles that are left over out of our bottom one. But before we can do that, we have to let it sit for about 5 or 6 hours so that any of the particles in our bucket can go down to the bottom. And I will be back to show you how we do that.